15% down DSCR loans. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Jeff Javarthan, Jeff the Mortgage Pro. Thanks so much for watching today. I really appreciate it. Let's talk about a great product today. These are the 15% down DSCR loans. Okay, I know people have been asking about it, so now I'm going to give it to you. If you do me a huge favor, if you like these videos, go ahead and click on the like button. And if you really like these videos, please go ahead and subscribe. I'd love to have you as part of my channel. And as a subscriber, it really means the world to me that there's that many people that actually listen to what I have to say. So thank you for doing that. All right, let's talk about 15% down DSCR loans going forward here. So a couple of things. What is a DSCR loan anyway? It's a loan for investment properties only. And DSCR stands for debt service coverage ratio. Now, for the most part, most of the DSCR loans that I do are more than 15% down. They're usually 20% down as a minimum. This is a very particular niche product, and it has definitely stricter guidelines going forward. So make sure you pay attention as we go through these to see if you still qualify for it by the end of the video. And if it does, I'd love to chat with you about doing a 15% down DSCR loan going forward. Okay. So what does it mean? Here's some of the guidelines. 15% down, that means 85% loan to value. That means you take 15% and you put that down on the property, you go and buy it. First time investors are okay with these types of loans. So as long as you own a primary residence, or maybe you own one investment property and not a primary residence, you're not considered a first time investor. You are considered a first time investor in that instance. And that way you can use this particular product. You cannot be a first-time home buyer to be able to do this. So if you don't own a primary residence or you don't own any other investment property, you can't be a first-time home buyer and use the 15% down. You're going to need to use a minimum of 20% down going forward for that type of a product. Okay. So credit scores have a minimum of a 720 score on this DSCR 15% down type of a loan. Okay. So if you've watched some of my other videos before, you know that a lot of lenders will go down to 660, 640, 620, even in some instances for different DSCR loans. But for this one in particular, with 15% down, you have to have a 720 credit score or better. The DSCR ratio is really important. That means that the cash flow of the property coming in is going to have to be greater than the expense of the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance monthly mortgage payment going out. But on the 15% down one, it has to be 1.20 or higher. That means you have to find a really, really good cash flowing property to be able to put 15% down with a higher interest rate to be able to make sure that this in cash flows at 1.20 or better. So it's available, but it's not always the best. Might not be the best option to try to find a property. It's going to be very niche in the way that you are able to buy this with a 15% down type of a DSCR loan. You can buy properties that are only single family units. So we can't buy any condos. We can't buy any townhomes. We can't buy any 2 to 4 unit properties. Those things are all going to need a minimum of 20% down with this particular product. So we can only buy single family residences with 15% down in this type of a product. We can only do long-term rentals as well. Okay. So if you're trying to buy a short-term rental, this won't work because it's only for long-term rentals going forward. And it's only for purchases at 15% down and rate and term refinances at 85% loan to value. You cannot do a cash out refinance up to 85%. You're probably going to be limited to 75 usually is probably the max for most lenders, but some of them will go up to 80% on a cash out. But for this particular type of a loan product that we're talking about today, only for purchases, rate term refis, definitely can't do a cash out up to 85%. The great thing about DSCR loans is that there's no personal income required. So if you don't have a job or, maybe have complicated tax returns for what you do, don't worry about it because we don't need any of that stuff. These types of DSCR loans, there's no limit to the number of properties that you own. You can definitely do this type of a product. And again, if you still are trying to find a property with 15% down, again, it still has to cash flow and you have to be in a pretty good scenario to be able to do that. This is for 30-year and 40-year interest onlys. 30-year and 40-year loans, fixed terms only. You cannot do an interest-only loan on this particular product. Okay, so a 30-year fixed or a 40-year fixed are your two options for the 15% down DSCR. And it's definitely going to require reserves. So 6 months worth of reserves is required. Remember, reserves is just 1 month worth of principal, interest, taxes, and insurance monthly payment. That's 1 month of reserves. And you're going to need 6 of them. So if the PITI is, let's say, $5,000, then you're going to need $30,000, 5,000 times 6 left over. And reserves can be in stocks, bonds, 401ks, IRAs, checking, savings accounts, all different things that are liquid or somewhat liquid usually count for reserves going forward. And then if you're in a declining market, and this will be determined by an appraisal typically, then this doesn't work. You're going to have to put more money down to be able to do a regular DSCR loan and not a 15% down DSCR loan. So again, another restriction on this type of a product going forward. Just make sure you qualify. And this is only for US citizens. Whereas DSCR loans in general, I mean, you'd be a permanent resident alien, you could be a foreign national, you can be a US citizen for the most part. But for this particular product, 15% down DSCR, you have to be a US citizen. Okay. Remember that DSCR loans in general come with prepayment penalties. So if you're buying in a state that is not allowing a prepayment penalty, know that the rate is going to be pretty darn high, which is going to be making it really hard to cash flow at a 1.20 DSCR or better. Okay, so definitely something that this is very, very niche type of a product, as you can tell, as my caution in telling you about this in the video. But if you qualify for this, I'd love to be the one that helps you. Go ahead and click on that calendar link down below in the description or in the comments section. I'd love to be the one that talks to you about this. And I look forward to chatting with you, and hopefully we'll get a chance to do one of these together. And if not, thanks again for watching my video, and I look forward to chatting with you and seeing you again on the next show. Have a good day. Bye.